all you've got's your gut. So we launched the business with $5,000. And we've never taken any funding or anything like that. So we've had to be profitable and had to do things not on a shoestring, but we've had to do things. We can't just bootstrapped.
The Businessmen, sponsored by BT Business. Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, children, if you fancy it.
He's Joel Dommett, I'm Ben Shepherd, and this is the journey of the two of us, the businessmen, trying to create our own male skincare brand.
If you are new here, where have you been, you idiots?
Make sure you go back to the beginning and catch up on what on earth we've been up to, wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd love you to subscribe, wouldn't we, Joel?
Yes, we would. You can also catch us on YouTube if you fancy looking at our faces too, which I mean, look, I think it's worth it.
That guy has amazing skin. Joel.
Yes.
I have a fun fact for you.
Please do.
99% of all UK businesses are small or medium-sized.
What? 99%? That's almost all.
Just 1% not all. So whether you're running a shop, a consultancy, a creative agency, there's one thing you absolutely cannot compromise on, your internet connection.
And that's exactly why BT Business Broadband exists.
BT Business understands the challenges companies face. Their broadband is purpose-built for business, delivering the speed and bandwidth you need to run cloud apps, transfer large files, jump on video calls with smooth, reliable performance every time, like you.
So we can avoid the spinning wheel of doom, Ben.
Exactly that. The thing is, most people don't realize small businesses are targeted by cyber attacks every single day. BT Business Broadband comes with built-in security, Joel, firewalls, Joel, and options for advanced threat protection, so your data, your customers, and your reputation stays safe.
Switch today and be online tomorrow. To find out more, search BT for small business.
How has your week been? Obviously, you've been plump, glowing, and firming in one go.
I did the Pipeline Industries Guild.
Ooh.
I know, it sounds like it's from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Which is something I talked about.
Did you do that as well?
I went, no one takes you seriously because of your name. You're called the Pipeline Industries Guild, guys. This is, it's like Gandalf.
Middle-earth.
We must go to Mordor. But before then, we must visit the Pipeline Industries Guild, Frodo. Did all that stuff. Absolutely.
They loved it.
They loved it.
Is it a new guild?
It was, 57th year. Wow. The Pipe Guild.
There's pipers.
There was 1,000 people in a room who just absolutely love pipe.
Who doesn't love pipe? Goodness me.
Love pipe. And I just was so... let me tell you, I was really worried about this gig. So I was like, oh, it's going to be a nightmare. I was on late. I had to do 20 to 30 minutes of stand-up comedy. I was like, it's going to be really hard. They were a lovely bunch of people.
It turns out people who love pipe love Dommett.
Yeah. Turns out that it's the same Venn diagram.
I'm glad that went well. I was hosting the Carers Awards.
Oh, my God.
Which was an amazing award ceremony up at the ICC in Birmingham. Enormous awards of all the carers over the country. I think you've been there and you've done it in the past. I haven't done it since 2012. The last time I did it since 2012, right? And I wondered why they'd invited me back. And I thought it might be because of The Masked Singer. And because I was Conquest the Masked Singer. Turns out that the team that do the Carers Awards, big fans of Men's Health.
Wow!
Big fans of Men's Health.
That's so funny.
So I was able to share, again, my front cover of Men's Health. Turns out quite a lot of carers like Men's Health as well, Joel.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
But they made me feel incredibly welcome.
I did a different Caregivers Awards. There was another separate one, and it was genuinely really fun. Again, it's just a lovely industry, I think.
Amazing.
But it was started off this gig with the cast of The Lion King, right? And so it was an unbelievable gig. So you had The Lion King. So I was genuinely off stage. It was one of those weird scenarios.
The Lion King.
And then later on, I was doing like a Masked Singer version for the gig and revealing who was going to be singing later on at the gig. And so there was this weird moment where I was like, I think I'm in showbiz, because I was there. There was 3 people in an elephant, right? And this is in the backstage bit of Grosvenor House. You know, there's people wandering past with like blancmange at the same time. There's 3 people in an elephant. There's one person in front of the elephant, like literally guiding the elephant out. So guiding them out like a person in front of an aeroplane. And then I was there, and then next to me was Jason Donovan in an alligator mask. I was like, this is showbiz, man. And then I went on stage, and then I asked off stage the organizer of this event. I was like, oh, this is amazing. They were singing Kuna Matata, and it was just beautiful. And I was like, well, this is such a great idea, you know? Like, it's about the circle of life and the caregivers. It's very much the circle of life. And it's like the people caring for people at the end of their lives. That's an amazing, what a brilliant way to start the show with that. And the person who organized the whole event went, oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, amazing.
Just random.
Love
Just
it.
random.
Amazing industry. So busy week for both of us. We've got a fantastic guest on today's show. A young man called Nic Taylor, who is the founder of 47 Skin, and which is a product and a skincare brand that I came across because of my boys being teenagers and having a few issues with their skin.
It's become fastest growing skincare brands in the country. It's mad.
So what's fascinating is he created it after his grandma found a couple of bottles of an ingredient at a sort of a craft fair somewhere up north. He's from around Yorkshire way, York way. And she basically sent him these bottles and said, try this for your skin. He hadn't really talked about that. And it did an incredible job on his skin where he had battled for years and years and years and years. And he said, right, I've got to track down what this ingredient is. And off the back of that, he created 47 Skin.
So it's an amazing story. Let's do it now. Let's get into it with Nic.
You're going to love it.
Hello, Nic. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us.
So, Nic, it's brilliant to have you on The Businessmen. Joel and I are on the sort of start of a journey into a skincare brand which we're launching for men. You have successfully launched an extraordinary skincare company that is absolutely exploding, which is really, really exciting. But we'd love to sort of drive down and understand where it all started and how it all started before 47 Skin became what it is now. What was your journey to that point?
Yeah, of course. So I had bad spots and blemishes around the age of started about 16 when I was at school. And when I was at school, I wasn't the one with the worst spots and blemishes. So it always kind of gave me that kind of almost comfort that, you know, it wasn't the worst. And as I got older and older, it started to kind of impact me more and more. So went through school, got to university, and I remember doing stuff like getting ready for a night out, looking in the mirror and thinking, oh God, I can't go out. Because it was in the days where, I don't know if it still happens, but where they'd, you know, have a photographer on a night out, and then in the morning you see the photos, you think, oh God, because you realise that your skin didn't look good. So it started.
Never want to see those pictures in the morning.
And you scroll down Facebook and go, oh God, and everyone's seeing it. So it really impacted my confidence around that age. And then I'd do things like miss lectures and stuff like that. So
because of your skin?
Yeah, because I just didn't really want to go out, and so that kind of bugged me, but it didn't bug me enough to properly try and solve it. And then I had my first graduate job, and I went in to meet a buyer, and I always thought I'm going to take my career really seriously. Went in to meet the buyer, and she said, "I can see they've sent their baby to do the bidding," and she was referring to the fact that I had spots on my face.
Oh, how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel like that, which is partly what a buyer's job is. They're trying to kind of like neg the person from day one, but it's a bit kind of personal, isn't it?
It makes you feel really small.
It did. And also you're already conscious because you're 23 in an office where most people are in their 30s, 40s, or whatever. So that really knocked me. And I thought, well, I'm not having it like stop my career. Yeah. So then I set about trying to think, okay, I went to cheap stores, bought the products there, they didn't help. I went to expensive stores, bought those products, they didn't help. And then I thought, maybe I need to go like more professional. So I went to get a laser treatment. I remember going in, they sold me like a pack of 8 different cycles or whatever. Did the first treatment, and I remember the lady saying, I was writhing in pain, and the lady was like, oh, don't worry, men have got low pain thresholds. Walked out, and they'd basically like burnt the side of my face to the point where it looked like a carpet burn. So I've got a passport photo at home where it looks like I couldn't go out in the sun for like 2 weeks afterwards. So that was horrific. And then I thought my final kind of step was like, right, I need to go to the doctors, because going back to the school thing, the way that everyone else had sorted out the spots and blemishes is they'd gone on quite aggressive antibiotics.
Yes. Yeah.
So at the moment in the UK, the solution is if you can't do it through products, then the doctor will put you onto this. So go to the doctor. He recommended a topical cream, which I tried. I thought that won't work, and it didn't. And then eventually,
why did you think that wouldn't work?
Because nothing had.
Right.
So anything topical hadn't solved the problem. So I'd just sort of given up. Like I tried so many different things, and it was persistent. And you'd have some times when your skin was a bit better, and you think, oh, the world, it's a good day.
Yeah.
And then other days when you'd like, and they'd always happen on the days that you didn't want them to, like an interview and all sorts of stuff. The easiest way just to knock your confidence. And the reality is that when you've got spots and blemishes, you think that everyone's just staring at that spot. They're not. They're thinking about whatever that's going on in their own head. But so I go to the doctor. Tried the topical cream, that didn't work. Then I go back and say, can you give me the antibiotics? The reason why I hadn't had antibiotics previously is because you're not supposed to drink on them. And at university, 6 months of not drinking didn't feel like it was an option, right?
That's not a compromise even you were willing to make.
No, I was not willing to, So went on, I had the antibiotics and I thought, oh great, finally I've got a solution to this problem.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it's...
Roaccutane?
Yeah, Roaccutane, yeah. So went on that, and then it kind of attacks the host at the same time as attacking the spots. So whilst it all sort of zapped the spots, it also creates like dry skin and cracking around your lips and all this sort of stuff. So it's kind of wiping out your skin at the same time as wiping out the spots. It's brutal,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be incredibly effective, of course.
Yeah.
But you know you're taking it.
Yes, exactly. But I was pleased about this because despite the fact that my skin really hurt and all that sort of stuff, I thought, fantastic, I'm finally getting rid of these spots.
It's doing something.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I was watching an article, it was a BBC thing about a very, very dark topic. And I remember thinking, why don't more people do that? So it was a really dark thought that kind of happened in my head. And I thought, that's not normal. So I went back to the doctors and said, I'm having these weird thoughts. And he went, oh, yeah, well, it's a known side effect is depression. And, and only later in life did I realise how important that is, because if you're struggling with spots and blemishes, for the most part, it's teens, right? So you're going into school, you're already having a pretty rough time, and then you get given some medicine as far as you're concerned, and then you start having weird thoughts, but you won't put the two and two together. Mm-hmm. I was 25 by this point, so I knew pretty clearly that wasn't how my brain worked. So kind of, didn't want to. I went back to the doctor and said, well, don't like having spots and blemishes, but equally, it's obviously not worth this. So kind of came off it. And then I just thought, well, I'm just going to have to live with this. And for someone who's living with it, I don't know if you guys suffered with spots and blemishes.
It's horrible. When I was younger, probably till I was about 20, I'd say, something like that.
Interesting, because I wasn't too bad through my teenage years, and then I went to university, and it was awful. I used to wash my face in fairy liquid.
Wow.
Because I thought, the only way I'm going to sort this out is super dry. I've got to dry it up. Yeah. It's obviously really greasy or whatever. And I ended up going on to about antibiotics in the end when I was about 22, 23. And fortunately, it did all those things you're talking about. I didn't have the side effects, but it dried my skin out enormously. But it did clear it up. And then I don't know, that. So, but it's that thing. And as soon as you said, if you've got spots, you feel like everybody's staring at them. I identify with that so clearly because it's exactly how I remember feeling walking into university, that freshest week of university, and just being so self-conscious about that people aren't talking to me, they're talking to the blemishes on my skin.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm going back to life basically with accepting the fact that I'm going to have spots and blemishes on my face. I'm going to an office every day where I've got these spots and blemishes. I remember one day I had 3 spots perfectly lined up. I don't know how that works. And I remember sitting all day like this typing with one hand because I was so conscious.
To hide them.
Yeah, and I wouldn't wear white shirt. I used to have bad back acne, so I wouldn't wear white shirts. And the other thing that people don't talk about is not only is it uncomfortable from a confidence point of view, but it's actually physically painful, which you both empathise with because you remember. Yeah. But it's one of those things that once you've not got it anymore, you quickly forget. But if all of a sudden you woke up and you did have it again, these things would come back pretty quickly. So anyway, sat at my desk, a parcel arrived, and we were in one of those offices where people kind of go along with a trolley and hand out the parcels and stuff. And I get a parcel, and I could tell immediately it's from my grandma because the handwriting got so big it was like a license plate. And it had opened the thing up, and there's an unlabelled pot of cream that said, a handwritten note that said, "Dear Nick, it's a local formulation. Apparently, it's amazing for spots and blemishes." First thought was, "Thanks, Grandma." Sort of spots and blemishes thought of me. But
that's interesting because it's love. I mean, that's how much you've got a grandma that really cared about you. Had you talked about it with your family? Had your parents talked about it with her? Do you think?
Do you know what? No one's ever asked me that, and I don't think I openly spoke about it. But I think you could see how it impacted me.
Of course. But she knew there was something.
She knew, yeah. And so she very kindly sent me this pot of cream, and I put it to one side and thought, well, that won't work. Nothing ever does, right? So put it in I can still think exactly where I put it in the house. And then I was going off on a business trip to Spain for 4 days, and I thought, well, I'll take it with me and use it up as an aftersun, so at least I can tell her that I've used it because she keeps asking, and it, it won't work, but at least then I've used it. So I take it with me to Spain, use it for 4 days, and the other thing about spots and blemishes is when you're in the sun, they reduce naturally. So I'm using it for 4 days and my spots and blemishes kind of go, which is unusual, but not totally because I'm in the sun and I'm kind of thinking that's odd. But anyway, get back to London and they don't return. And I walked into a pub in Fulham and a girl that I'd known for 20 years pulled me to one side and said, Nick, what have you done to your skin? You look amazing. And I thought, no one's ever said that.
Wow.
So the spots and blemishes have gone and now my skin looks a lot better. Yeah. And was just kind of continued to use it and kind of baffled by what it was.
Are you attributing it to your grandma's potion at this point?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
so
yeah.
You know
I've
now there's
realised,
something in this that's...
Yeah, I've realised it's not a coincidence. Yeah. So I kind of try and find out who's behind this product. I think somebody in America, then somebody in the UK. Turns out somebody, a scientist up north who'd mixed two things together, who's trying to mix these things for water treatment. So antibacterial was the aim, right? So silver and chitoderm, he bonded the two things together. The logic is silver is antibacterial and chitoderm is sticky and mucoadhesive. So if you bond the two things together, the chitoderm will stick to the bacteria and the silver will kill it. But it's too expensive in water treatment, and noticed that when he was using it, the condition on his hands started to change, and sort of thought, there's something in this, but we're not quite sure what it is. Test it in veterinary services and then test it in a handful of skincare bottles. The handful of skincare bottles, he then took to like a stall or whatever, and I later found out the only person who talked to him all day was my grandma, who bought 2 bottles. One went to me and one went to my sister. I don't know if my sister ever used it, by the way. I need to ask her, but came to me, and then we met, partnered, and 47 Skin came to be.
Wow, what incredible! Because I knew this story, but it's so like she's given you this bottle and also like given you this business. You know, she's not just helped your skin; she's helped your livelihood. She's helped you on this start of this amazing journey. How incredible! Like grandparents, man.
What's your grandmother's name?
Pat.
Granny Pat.
Granny Pat.
What a legend! So interestingly, you get this bottle. You now know the formulation. You now know the guy that put it together. You understand all those things. But in terms of what that formulation did, can you put into words how that, before 47 Skin was created, the difference that made to your life, Nick?
It was enormous, because you're at that age where you're going into work meetings, but you're not super confident because you're just trying to find your feet. You're at the age where you're dating. You're at the age where it's social, and it used to just be just knock me all the time having the problem with my skin, and all of a sudden that was lifted. So it made the world of difference, to be honest. Yeah, and I've got grandma to sort of thank for that. But it's lovely with grandma, because she was a nurse. She sadly passed away a few years ago, but she saw where 47 got before that. So and there's some nice stuff around that. But but yeah, she was a nurse for 40, 50 years, so she was helping people. And then, she wasn't wealthy by any measure, and then the fact that she's going and spending her money on products, and there's a real niceness to it. And then the mission now is to get silver chitoderm into the hands of people who are suffering with their skin. So it's continuing that mission that grandma set off that day without realising.
Amazing. And she's a nurse, so she has that vocation to want to look after people, to help them feel better, regardless of what the condition is. My mum's a nurse, so they've always got that thing in them and looking out for you.
Incredible. What an amazing journey. And obviously you sort of came at it from the point of going, I know this works. And also it hasn't worked. It's the start of its journey of these ingredients. So let me give that to other people. I assume that was...
It is exactly that. So it's an amazing story in retrospect, but then you have the reality of going, well, we've got this thing that works, right? But then it's how do you get it out to people? Because that's coming to the challenge of starting a skincare business and going on from there. Because my original strapline with it was skincare that actually works, because it actually works. So I thought, oh, great, I'll just tell people that, and then they'll buy it.
Easy.
And then boom. And it didn't happen obviously like that. So we launched it and kind of nothing happened. So then you've got to figure out how to communicate it, build trust, etc., etc. So then it was in a way that's the story, but it was really just the start of the story, because it all kind of happened after that.
When did you go, do you know what, I want to make this a business? And what was that transition like from having a full-time job to then going, I'm going to run my own business?
Well, so I was working for one of the big corporate that owned like a ton of brands, like you know them, and they're big, and
a number of skincare brands in there.
Yeah. And I learned an awful lot working for those guys, and I recommend, it was brilliant. I would thoroughly enjoy my time there. But when I came across this product, it felt not, I wouldn't say as far as vocational, but it genuinely felt like there was a mission that we've got to do this. It felt quite selfish to go, I've found the solution to the thing that I've been struggling with forever and not really get it out to anyone else. I'm just going to keep using it. And so it felt like there was not an obligation, but there was a certain mission behind it. And working for the other business, I remember there was an inflection point when I thought, if I don't go now, I'm never going to do it. And it was the timing was right and all this sort of stuff. I didn't obviously know that COVID was around the corner. But COVID ended up being kind of, I don't say beneficial because it's awful, but the way that the timing of it meant that I just focused on the business for that period of time. So lockdown for me was incredibly busy. But going back to the question, so yeah, it was that moment of knowing if not now, probably never. So we're just going to go for it. And I remember coming down the stairs so I finished on the Friday, came down the stairs on the Monday. You'd think you should actually just start on the Saturday, but I took the weekend. And then came down at 8 a.m. and it's funny actually at this point, it hadn't quite transitioned. So I was still wearing like a shirt that you would at the previous all this sort of stuff. And I remember sitting down and going, well, actually, when I came down the stairs, I came downstairs and my mum and dad, Tony and Claire, so mum had retired a while ago, nurse as well, and my dad was ran a manufacturing business but had recently retired. Came down the stairs and I remember thinking, this is it, you're pretty alone now. And I came down and they both had T-shirts on that said Tony at 47 Skin and Claire at 47 Skin.
How amazing.
Yeah, and I've got a nice...
Your family needs to stop being so adorable. Your family are unbelievable.
I love your family so much.
This is so great. To have that support, it's so important, you know?
It is, yeah. It really... And I think that's a key thing, though, with the businesses. When you start a business, you'd be amazed by the way people step forward to help you. Yeah. So obviously I was very lucky with my family, but it goes beyond that. Like, or even the, acts of random people will help you with stuff and it can really, really drive the business forward. So yeah, came downstairs and then...
what do you do? Day one, 8 o'clock, you in your shirt, mum and dad have got their uniforms on.
Yeah, do you know what? One of the first things I did, I wrote to 1,000 retailers. I thought, numbers game, 1,000, definitely going to get at least 10. Okay. I didn't get any. I got 2 responses and they're both
saying
negatives.
What? I've got this amazing product. Can I stock it?
Yeah, basically that, yeah. And no, there was no traction and all that sort of stuff. And so to start with, you kind of messaging people and things like that, and then it's just one foot in front of the other, isn't it? You think, well, I need to do this, and then okay, well, that leads to that, and it's like a domino effect. So when you do one thing, then it's obvious what the next step is, but you just got to keep going.
Where did the idea and the name 47 Skin come from, and where did you sort of formulate what it was going to look like or what it was going to be?
So that had all already happened by this point. So when I kind of you got the products, the concepts of the products, 47 Skin, because the patented bit of the formula is silver chitoderm. Yeah. The atomic number of silver is 47. Yeah. So 47 Skin. I've always been a big believer in something saying what it does. Mm-hmm. So it just makes it. You don't need to add another complexity. So putting something in that doesn't say what it does on the tin, I don't think makes any sense. And I like the fact that it was just simple and clean and related to the IP to the the formula basically.
But that's so you've got 47 Skin, which as you say, fantastic name because it is exactly what it is. And then how do you go from there to, because we've just been designing the logo for our brand, where do you go to design the logo and the packaging and all that sort of stuff to the point where you've actually got a product to sell?
So I always wanted to keep it quite clinical because I thought the point of the formula, it was always the formula, right? So for me, it wasn't about a kind of overly designed packaging or anything. And I just worked with a designer. I mean, this is before AI and things like that, but I just worked with a designer that I found on one of the websites that you can imagine, went back and forth and just intuitively on gut what kind of felt right. Yeah. And it might be that it might be right or wrong, but for me, all you've got is your gut. So we launched the business with $5,000. And we've never taken any funding or anything like that. So we've had to be profitable and had to do things not on a shoestring, but we've had to do things, we can't just, bootstrapped. So when it came to the logo and things like that, I just intuitively it felt right, it felt wrong and followed my nose and always kept very blinkered in terms of looking. So I never looked at like what the other skincare brands doing.
Don't look over the fence.
Don't look over the fence where everyone keeps telling us.
Trini said that. Yeah. Don't look over the fence.
It's true because it can confuse you. And also I felt so strongly at the time that for my specific problem, the industry hadn't presented me with any solutions. So I wasn't really interested in what anyone else was doing. I was thinking, this is the solution. I just need to kind of get it out there.
That moment when the first order came in, that moment, who was that from and what was that moment like?
His name was Richard. And it's nice actually because I remember the moment I was driving down motorway, early door. It was 4 a.m. or something, and this order, ping, and I don't know if you guys Shopify is.
Yes,
I've heard a lot about it.
It's a lovely ka-ching noise.
Yeah,
and I remember sort of thinking, what was that? And then we had our 7th birthday, however long ago, 6 months ago, and the brand team reached out to Richard, and we got we had an interview with him and stuff like that. So
incredible.
Yeah, so I don't think he knew he was the first person at the time, obviously, but yes, that was the first order that we had.
And what did you use in the early days in order to drive those first sales? Was it mostly sort of Instagram? Was it
D2C or?
It was Instagram. We literally launched to very, very start with launched Instagram, uploaded a few photos. My sister helped me with the very first kind of images and things like that. They weren't, I mean, she's a very good photographer, but they weren't the best. I mean, I've got a photo at home where we bought one of those sort of Amazon shoot things where it's a black box.
Yeah.
And just got, so it was just, we just started very small, and then you start posting and you don't really get much response or whatever. But funnily enough, the thing that gave the business the break was somebody from Hong Kong actually reached out and said, I represent this influencer in Hong Kong, and we'd like to would be interested in stocking your products. And I thought, pull the other one. We're not just going to give you products because this is early. This is so early. And they placed an order, and then it actually it for the first few months or whatever, it was actually bigger in Hong Kong, a lot bigger in Hong Kong than it was in the UK.
And how did they know? Were they just interested in your marketing of it? They hadn't even tried the product yet.
They hadn't tried the product. I think they did event. Obviously, they tried the product and then went on to buy it. But I think they just become aware through Instagram.
Isn't that incredible? Again, it's so important. The brand story is so strong. Like you're a great example for your brand. It comes from this place where you had a problem, you fixed it, and then you vouched for it, and then you put it into the market. And it's so brilliant. And I assume now, it must be such a wonderful feeling for you to know that you've now helped so many other people with that.
Thousands, yeah.
Isn't that incredible? You must have so many stories from other people going, this is the thing that's worked for me, right?
That 100%, and that's the big thing. So when we first launched it, we as I said before, we launched it at £5,000. I remember getting 1,000 bottles that we brought to mum and dad's house. We used mum and dad's kitchen. We had actually a ketchup pump was what we found that was best to do that first 1,000 bottles. And I remember we doing all that, and bless it, Dad has worked. It helped me so much with it. He was carrying them along. He went, I'll put these in the attic. Remember that time we thought we were going to start a skincare brand?
Wow.
But then because 1,000 just, I mean, it looks like so many. I mean, we've sold over 1 million of those, and we've helped over 500,000 people, which is what we're really, really pleased about. But when you start with that, you think we're never going to sell these, and then of course you do, but the helping people is what drives you. So we've been at it for 8 years now, and there's some really, really difficult moments. Like after COVID, we got our first unit, which had no heating in it, and we go down and do the manufacturing and all this sort of stuff. But you're there in the depths of winter in Yorkshire, which is cold. And and it's battle after battle from a marketing standpoint. Yeah. It does. And the thing that kept me going was going on the Serum page, looking at the reviews, and the fact we're still helping people. Because I think, if you're in it for certain gains or whatever, it takes so long to reach those that you've got to have something else that's keeping you going.
Hello, Ben Shepherd.
I'm right here, Joel.
Of course you are. This episode is brought to you by Samsung, the official tech partner for the businessmen. Visit samsung.com/business to learn more about the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra Enterprise Edition.
Joel, I feel like you might be hiding something from me.
What are you talking about? Never. It's just, you know what? It's hard to know who's looking over your shoulder when you're out and about trying to get confidential work done, even though we tell everyone everything on this podcast.
You've been caught like that in the past, haven't you? I have good news. The brand new Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, it's just landed, literally, and it features the world's first privacy display on mobile, meaning it protects sensitive information by hiding your full screen from other people's views. Perfect for our business meetings, which, as we always do, happen on the go.
Yes, indeed, especially when you're being Ben Shepherd on This Morning and Conkers on The Masked Singer, which is very confidential information. How do you keep up, Ben?
Well, luckily, thanks to the Galaxy S26 Ultra with privacy prioritised, it's certainly one less thing for me to worry about.
Fantastic.
And it's not just for us, Joel. Everyone can get fully equipped for business with the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra Enterprise Edition, which comes, get this, with a 3-year warranty and next business day doorstep exchange. T's and C's apply. To find out more, visit samsung.com/business.
Yeah, is there any particular misconceptions about sort of the spots and blemishes thing that you can dispel for people?
I think it fundamentally often is to do with your hormones, and then that. So around hormonal changes is when you tend to see a higher correlation with spots and blemishes. So I think the idea that it's somehow the individual's fault, I think, is just not true. Yeah. But also, I think the big thing is it about it impacting certain age groups when actually it impacts all age groups.
So look, the thing that's really interesting is you started with $5,000. You've launched the business with $5,000. You've never taken any investment into it?
No. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well,
was that a conscious decision, Nick? Have you ever been at any point sat around the table? Because how many people are you employing now?
About 40.
About 4. Wow. And they all got T-shirts saying...
Yeah. You've kept the uniform.
Has anyone sat down and gone, right, if we take some investment now, we can really sort of scale up.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So I've never felt like that, in the sense that I've never felt if I was presented with a check, we don't not spend money. We spend money on whatever we think is the right thing to do at any given point. But if I've never felt that a lump of cash would have made it go any faster. I think, and for me, and look, there's so many different businesses out there, and so obviously this isn't, because it's not a one size fits all. But for me, launching with that amount and then going, right, you've got 1,000 bottles, go and sell them, made me learn very intentionally. And I did, of course, make mistakes, but I didn't just charge off in one direction. And I sort of think it's almost like an analogy with a house. If you move into a house and somebody gave you a big check, but on day one you went and spent that check on whatever it is within the house, you then live with it 12 months. You wouldn't spend the money on the same thing that you did 6 months later, right? You kind of go, actually, I don't need to bulldoze that wall because it's quite, So you can almost, for me, launching without the investment it was hard, and it's taken me a long time, but it was absolutely the right way to have done it.
You are stocked in Boots and Harrods now.
Yes.
I mean, that's two extremes of the market. Brilliant, really, isn't it? Because you've got one of the main high street retailers, access to everybody, and then you've got a really super high-end retailer in the heart of Knightsbridge.
Yeah.
How does that feel, walking into those shops and seeing your brand that your gran gave you a bottle of?
Pretty amazing. And actually, there's a nice sort of quirk of fate here as well, which is we got contacted by Harrods the day... I forget which way. I think it was the day before Grandma's funeral. So they literally called us and said we want to list it. And I can remember as a kid going up and down the escalators in Harrods with my grandma hand in hand, and we fast forward a year or whatever, we've taken that whole thing over as 47 Skin branded.
Oh, amazing!
So that just felt meant to be. And then my two grandmas, she sort of lived long enough that we talked about how the business had done and where it might end up and all this sort of stuff. And the retailers that we talked about were Harrods, because it's Harrods, and Boots because she absolutely loved Boots. I don't think anyone visited Boots more often than my grandma. Still got her ad card at home, and she'd literally go there kind of every day. They do a great meal deal.
They absolutely do.
And they contacted us, and we went with that. And the logic behind how which retailers we go with, we want to meet the consumer where they are. So if somebody's struggling with their skin, we can reach a lot of those people through advertising. But there's a lot of people who want to go to Boots, or they want to go to Harrods. Whilst it's Harrods, is also a pharmacy, and it's the local shop for a lot of people around there. So they've been brilliant. But I know, but
the idea of Harrods being the local shop.
Yeah.
If you happen to live in Knightsbridge, it's your local shop.
Oh, I need some ibuprofen. Gotta go to Harrods.
It's the Apple Store in Harvey Nicks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I went for some 40p paracetamol, and I ended up buying a £4,000 Dior bag.
One of my first jobs was in Harrods. I worked in ladies' designer shoes.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I was the backroom boy for one of the sales, because I used to live in East London, and a couple of my mates worked in the toy department. They were older than me, and they got me the job, and it was the most exciting thing in the world. And not for the whole the month that I worked there, I never found my way around that place. And there's loads of tunnels under Harrods that go to different parts.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
More of a maze than the actual building itself.
Oh, more of a maze, yes, because you
confused.
go underground and you can pop up in different parts of London.
Yeah,
wow.
Different squares. Like,
really?
Yeah. It's like a secret passage in Cluedo.
Oh
But
my
God. Because they have
God.
deliveries that come from different squares and then go on through these tunnels and come into the building. So it's but the prestige about being somewhere there is exciting. You've hit some amazing revenue milestones, £15 million revenue.
We're about 25 now.
Tom crikey. That's,
Oh my God.
Since writing this down, you've gone up 10 million. That's how fast they're growing.
We wrote this down 24 hours ago.
And
So this
sorry,
is
well,
10 million in the last...
Depends which year.
Yeah, that's the impact we have. So 25 million, which is an amazing thing. But when you are starting to create revenue like that and the demand for it is getting bigger and bigger, how do you protect the brand? How do you protect the ethos of 47 Skin? Does that get harder, Nick, or is it's so embedded in the culture of the business that it's almost bulletproof?
I think it's the latter. So I think if we started with the brand, what the brand stood for, what the mission is, we bring everything back to that. So the mission of the brand is to get silver chitosan into the hands of people who are suffering with their skin. So everything pulls back to that. And another nice thing about the brand, so there's, as I say, there's about 40 people that work for the business, but I've retained 100% of the business. So I interview everybody that works for the business, and everybody's a cultural fit, and I think we've got a great team. And there's no, I always think we don't have to do anything that we don't want to do. So as long as it's fulfilling to the mission of the brand, then that's how we've kept it how it is.
Do you see yourself at some point walking away from it and going like, I think this business is able to sustain itself without me having to be a part of it?
Not a part of it, but if we can get, I think we're not actually far off. I went away for a few weeks to go and do a challenge a while ago, and actually the business exploded whilst I wasn't there. So,
The last thing you want.
I think it's doing better without me slowing it down. So no, I'd hate not to be a part of it because it comes back to that mission, right? So it's helping getting the products into the hands of people and helping their skin. So I'd hate to not to be a part of it, but yeah, it should run without you. Otherwise, there's something not quite right.
And so what about the future for 47 Skin then? Because you've solved this brilliant, hugely important issue. Does that almost make it restrictive just in terms of people seeing 47 Skin and say, oh, it sorts out blemishes and spots, but does it moisturize and does it sort out wrinkles and all those sorts of things? Or are you staying on the sort of that side of things with regards to what it does?
No, so spots and blemishes obviously is a massive concern. The global piece here is we have a UK business, a US business, and a small EU business. The US is exploding at the moment, and that's 10 times bigger to 20 times bigger in terms of a kind of the amount of people that we can sort of help over there. So the big focus at the moment is the US, which is going really, really well, which is great. But then the silver chitosan has benefits over and above spots and blemishes. Okay. So it helps with redness and dryness and a series of other concerns. And we've got so many case studies of people coming back and saying, oh my God, it's helped with this, it's helped with that.
Right.
So after we've got the spots and blemishes piece, the adjacent categories is different concerns is another pillar that we're working on and expanding into.
And so we're very much like Ben said, we're in our sort of infancy of starting a skincare brand ourselves.
I feel like we're not even around the kitchen table with your mum and dad yet.
No, it's
no
like,
t-shirts.
Unfortunately, our parents are way less interested. It's because I'm on TV way too much. So my mum doesn't even text me after I've hosted This Morning anymore. No. I could
she texts me though.
She texts you every time she's on. It's very strange.
Hi,
They've
Penny.
got this weird closeness that I need to talk to them about. But so what would you say that men are looking for generally when it comes to skincare?
Yeah, it's an interesting question for you.
I think two things. I think efficacy, so the fact the product works, right? Because I don't think men don't want a hobby or I mean, I'm speaking out of term. This would be my view on it. They want like it to solve whatever the problem is.
Yep.
And the second thing I think is simplicity. So one thing that I love about the serum is I take it, I mean, I've got it with me here. I take it, if I don't, I once missed a flight to a ski trip because I was going, realised I didn't have my serum, turned around and missed the flight. So I think simplicity, basically. I think so something that somebody can use, morning and night and not have to overcomplicate it. I would say they would be the things for male skincare.
I think that's fascinating. We're like I say, we're very much at the start of it. Is there any advice that you would give to us in starting our business and what we're doing?
I mean, only in the sense that, I'd give the same advice to anyone who's thinking of starting a business, which is to focus on a problem that exists. If it's a problem that exists for yourself, that's great because that's easier to kind of get in your head of. And then if you can find a solution to that problem, the chances of other people, of the billions of people out there having that same problem is extremely high. And then in terms of products and things like that, I think having one that you can focus on with a couple of supplementary
like a hero
ones.
Product.
Exactly. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think pushing one thing forward that says this is the one that we want to focus on, with some supporting products so that you can drive regime, because men will use use a few different products, and that's really important for your business. But yeah, I think that's the big thing is finding a problem that exists and then finding a solution. Simple as that. Yeah.
We like to, as men as well, particularly, we like solving problems. I think it's one of the things that Annie, my wife, talks to me all about. She said, "I don't need you to solve this problem." She'll tell me how she's feeling about
That's
something.
what my wife says. Yeah.
I don't need you to solve the problem. I just need you to hear me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I want to be able to sort it out for you.
Yeah.
As men, we like to solve problems. So give me a problem to solve.
So
if we
true.
are solving a problem, then hopefully it's going to appeal to people. So Nic, we ask all of our guests that come on, and they're all skincare experts or launching businesses, and you are somebody who has created this extraordinary skincare business. What's the one thing you think people should be doing for their skin? Let's say men should be doing for their skin that they aren't at the moment. That could be a game changer.
Using 47 Skin.
Yes, you're the first person to use their own brand.
Well, it sounds shameless
Because it works.
It genuinely works, but I can't give another answer because I've tried everything else that I've used, and it hasn't made a big difference to my skin. But using the serum day and night, I've done that every day since I've found the products. So shameless as it is, I can't give.
No. You can be as shameless as you like.
Again, that passion comes across, and I think that is so brilliant. What's amazing about you, Nic, is that, and the amazing brand that you've created, it's come from such an amazing organic place.
So
and
authentic, isn't
it's so part of you as a person, and it almost feels disingenuous in the idea of you selling it. You maybe will in the future, but now we're all sold on your idea and your product, and it comes hand in hand with you and your journey to where you are now. And I'm really excited that it's a success and it's on the faces of people across the US and across in Hong Kong and all of that. It's so brilliant, man.
It is. We've loved having you on. We're going to ask you to answer some Patreon questions in our boardroom.
Oh, yeah.
But we've got one here that we thought we'd ask on the podcast. So in case anybody is listening to this or following on YouTube, you can join the Patreon. Nic's going to do some more questions on Patreon as well. But this one here has come from Mark. Does your product help to repair acne scarring as well as treat the actual acne?
So the yes is, in my experience, yes. So there are numerous cases where the thing that is remarkable about silver chitoderm is the fact that it stops active blemishes. So that's part of the problem. And then the other part of it is that you're left with kind of marks and things like that, and it helps recover those as well. Going back to this sort of story, I remember going into an expensive store and I said, I've got spots and blemishes. And they said, okay, we recommend these 4 products that I couldn't understand what they were. And I said, but I've also got scarring. What can you do for that? Oh, for that, we recommend this really expensive cream over here. But be careful because it'll break you out again. So the recommendation in that instance is, in the market is to sort the problem, but then give you something that's going to create the problem. But yes, it's in short, there's many cases that we've got of it helping with both the active spot and blemish, but also recover the skin afterwards.
Reduce the redness and brilliant. There you go, Mark. So it works on both those levels.
Love that.
Nic, thank you so much for joining us on The Businessman. Can't wait to see what happens, because it sounds like world domination's around the corner.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're very close to that corner.
All thanks to Granny Pat and the Magic Beans as well. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Wasn't that fantastic?
There's something really humbling about meeting someone like Nic, just a really personal problem that he'd dealt with and he'd managed, and he kind of felt like he was going to have to live with for the rest of his life. having tried lots of different things, discovering something and thinking not only might it work for him, it might help other people as well. So thank you, Nic, for coming on and being so honest and open with us.
That's all we got time for this week.
Yeah. Remember, you can subscribe to us and follow us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube. Let us know what you think. I think we would love your feedback. Do get in touch if you fancy joining the Patreon.
Please do.
Then we would love that too, wouldn't we?
Actually, I had a lovely lady come up to me I was on the Elizabeth line, to be specific, so you know who you are.
The Regal line.
Which is fabulously
It's the best
fast,
line,
by
easily.
the way. I was in Heathrow 1 second, and then bloody straight, I was suddenly...
Tottenham Court Road. Amazing.
Unbelievable. Well done. It only took you bloody 400 years to build it. And $14 billion, but they got there in the end. And it was, I met this lovely lady who said that she listens to the podcast and that she was a fan of The Masked Singer. So hello to you. And thank you very much for coming up and saying hello, because it means a lot. Don't forget to also join our Patreon, patreon.com/thebusinessman.
We found our listener.
I found our listener.
It wasn't my mum, Mrs. Shepherd, was it? She's a big fan.
Might have been, actually. I didn't check.
She does like the Elizabeth line.
To be fair, she did have your ears.
It's always the ears that give it away. We'll see you next week.
Bye.